Hello, this is Wes Spearman from the AfterBurners podcast. At the end of the recording, I wanted to bring up the tragic incident which occurred at Brands Hatch on the 31st of July, but in the moment, my memory escaped me, so I shall use this time before we go into the actual podcast to say a few words. Myself, Sam and Henry offer our sincere condolences to the family and friends of Rob Foote, a volunteer marshal who was sadly killed during an accident at Brands Hatch. Marshals, like Rob, give up their free time to help out during race days, and without their efforts, motorsport simply would not be able to take place. Thank you and enjoy the podcast.
Hello and welcome to the AfterBurners podcast. I'm your host Samuel Oney and this is episode 19. With me is Wes Spearman. Wes, how are you today?
Yeah, pretty good. I mean, I don't think many people would have expected the race we had at the weekend. But yeah, throws the championship battle into a bit more of a contest. So all's well at the end, I suppose. Well, not for you being a Verstappen fan, but in terms of the championship fight, I think it's quite good.
Indeed. We always love a championship battle. But I think this Hungary Grand Prix is going to be remembered, I think, as probably one of the best this season. And we're not even into halfway. Just 11 races in so far. But today, where do we start? If I told you that neither Hamilton nor Verstappen won this weekend's Hungary race, would you have believed me?
No. I mean, in our predictions, we both guessed Hamilton would win to get his, 9th, 10th victory at Hungary. But yeah, it was a complete it wasn't always topsy-turvy, but it was just really the first lap or two, because the great equalizer, rain, in Formula One decided to grace us with its presence on the weekend, which I think this season has been crying out for a wet race. I don't think we've had a wet race this season. I think that was the first. I think, it just mixed things up a little bit, spiced things up.
Yeah, I mean, let's get into it then. Rain was ultimately the factor in how the podium ended, really. And Esteban Ocon, French driver for Alpine, a shock winner. That's the biggest headline. And how he came about it was, it was Hamilton on pole, with Max Verstappen Valtteri Bottas starting alongside him. Max Verstappen was third, and you could say that it didn't go to plan. Hamilton got a great start off the line. Then there was Valtteri Bottas, and it was first lap drama. What do you make of it?
Yeah, well, as you say, Hamilton got a great start, went into turn one clean. Bottas, meanwhile, on the other side of the grid, got an absolutely horrible start. It was awful. I mean,
very bad.
I can't remember who overtook it. I think it was one of the Red Bulls. I think it was Verstappen and Norris, wasn't it?
Norris.
That got past him sort of before the actual braking zone.
It was Norris. He went down. He went down on the right side, getting in front of Bottas.
Yeah.
And then, Bottas decided to clip.
He sort of lifted off, because I was listening to the Checker Flag podcast by the BBC. I think they said Bottas maybe lifted off, sort of allow Verstappen and Norris to go through. So you didn't have a Singapore 2017 style accident where it was, I think, the two Ferraris and a Red Bull sort of got sandwiched together. But then, I think Bottas, whether he lost grip or something, or whether he misjudged his braking point, I don't know. Brake far too late, went straight into the back of Norris, who went straight into Verstappen. And then you had Lance Stroll sort of coming from the outside of the track to the inside, cut across the grass, hits Charles Leclerc. So takes both of those out. And I think you have, 5 cars out at turn one.
Yeah.
It was just ridiculous. And it was only because of the rain that happened. If that was a dry race, then there's no chance of that happening at all.
No.
But it's because the track was a little bit damp that we actually got something quite interesting happening into into turn one, because I think I heard on the highlights watching them back yesterday is that Hungary is the second hardest track to overtake at, besides Monaco, which is quite something. I didn't expect that. I know it's got the sort of tricky, sort of squiggly section in sort of sector 2, sector 3, but I wouldn't have thought that would have been the second hardest track to overtake at. I mean, that's quite something, and it's a track that I quite like compared to tracks like Spain or something. It's I mean, the rain just gave us an interesting start and took 5 cars out of the start.
It was. And did you Lando Norris in the McLaren, because he crashed out, ultimately had to retire the race, and no Lando Norris. It was very, very
He was
sad.
my driver of the day, I think, if I remember.
Yeah?
It was a bit sad for me that that Norris didn't get past turn 1. And then Ricciardo, I don't think Ricciardo got points either, unless he finished in 10th. I can't remember now. Poor weekend for McLaren, but it's not exactly their fault. I think Ricciardo got caught up in the accident as well, so he might have had damage. Verstappen had damage. How he kept that car going till the end to still get a point or two is hats off to him for driving without an entire barge board on the side, because the amount of the amount that will inhibit the car's performance, the amount of aerodynamics that will essentially take off the car is just ridiculous in F1. I mean, someone like you or me, we might not notice it, but someone like Verstappen, he will notice it. So hats off to him for keeping that car going till the end, for Red Bull for not retiring the car, for just getting a single point, because as we said last week, we don't know how close this championship battle is going to be.
It could be decided by
or Marino. It could be decided by a single point or two.
Yeah, exactly. And it was very incredible after that crash, because that crash meant red flag, meaning taking time to, clear the debris and everything. Now, when all the cars came back, most of them, all but one, went into the pit lane to take advantage, change their first set of tires onto the slicks because of the rain. Only Lewis Hamilton did not go into the pits. In fact, he came back on the start-finish line ready for the restart while everyone else was in the pits. How?
It's just ridiculous, isn't it? Because however many cars were left, 13 cars?
14.
13 plus Hamilton. So 13 cars decided to go into the pits on the end of the sort of second formation lap to try and to change from intermediates to dry tyres. But I think Hamilton said in his post-race interview that he was given the team information, and the team said that rain was on its way, which ultimately never came. So Mercedes thought it was the right choice to keep Hamilton out on the inters. But I suppose the disadvantage of being out in first is you have to be the first to react. So as Hamilton went round that last corner, he just saw everyone behind him diving off into the pits to change tyres. So he was just like, we've probably made a mistake here. And in fairness, he did. He only had a 5-second lead at the end of that sort of restart lap, if you like, and then had to box and then ultimately dropped to 13th, 14th it was. George Russell P2 at one point.
Wow.
Esteban Ocon leading the race in lap 5.
Nicholas Latifi was P3.
Nicholas Latifi was P3, yeah. Who else was that? I can't remember now. Mick Schumacher was in the points.
Mick Schumacher was in the points, I think top 8. George Russell as well.
Yeah. And then
you wouldn't see that in a normal race, would you?
No, not by any stretch of it.
Teams pretty much at the bottom of the Constructors' Championship are suddenly racing in the top 10.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
It's mad, and I don't think we'll ever see something like that happen again in F1, just one car taking the starting lights on the grid. I mean, we know Indianapolis 2005, where he had 6 cars take the starts and go through to the end of the race because the other cars, the tyres couldn't cope.
Yeah.
But to have one car on the grid, 5 lights out, and away we. Oh wait, it's just one car. Everyone else is in the pit lane. it's just silly, really. But I actually saw something on Twitter yesterday, I think, saying that if Hamilton drove incredibly like snail pace from his starting grid to the start finish line and took 2 hours to do it because everyone else is in the pits, would he have actually got the win by going from the grid spot to the start finish line? Because everyone, because the race length is 2 hours. That's the longest race can go on for. So if Hamilton took that 2 hours to go from his grid spot to the start finish line, would he have then won the race? I think would be the question. But yeah, there's probably rules dictated that no, you can't do that. It's dangerous. Even though there's one car on the grid, they'll probably find out it's dangerous or something. Yeah, that would have been quite funny. But I mean, at the end of the day, if he didn't do that, then we got an absolute cracker of a race with a first-time race winner, and yeah, a different podium for a change. So
yeah, and honestly, Esteban Ocon in the Alpine car, how would you sum up his season so far?
Average, I suppose. Well, leading into this race, it was average because he also got that multi-year contract deal. Around France, the French GP, I think it was.
Do you think that played a part in some of his performances as well, signing that multi-year deal?
Maybe I think it would have made him feel a bit more comfortable with where he's at in his F1 career because he's got a 2-3 year deal with Alpine. So it's just like, cool, I can just do my own thing, just drive essentially, not worry about being dropped by the team. Have someone like, say, Nico Hülkenberg come back or something. But I think maybe just gave him a bit more confidence that his team backs him to race for a good 2-3 years. And yeah, I think up to that point, he didn't score a point for about 4 races. And then after that, he's managed to get a few more points. So maybe it's played a part. I don't know whether it's given him more confidence, maybe. I don't think the confidence would have had, just the confidence would have made him win the race this weekend because it was that incident at turn 1. Maybe it's just giving him a bit more confidence, and obviously this win will give him a whole lot more confidence going into. Well, I was going to say the next race, but we've got the summer break now for 3-4 weeks, and then we go back to Spa at the end of the month. Team Enstone as well, Alpine. I saw this is another thing I saw. Alonso and Ocon, 2 current drivers for Alpine, have both got their first wins whilst racing for Team Enstone. So Renault, Alpine, Lotus, whatever it was. Team Enstone up the Oxfordshire. And Williams as well. Oxfordshire.
Of course. Yeah. I've been impressed with Ocon as well. Being that midfield driver almost reminds me of Pierre Gasly as well in the AlphaTauri. You know, he's not that driver to, you know, in the front running for the championship, nor is he in a bad car like as if he was driving for the Williams or the Hasses, but he's in that midfield kind of team. And comparing it to Pierre Gasly, they're almost like the same. I mean, both of them now have at least 1 win for their respective teams. I think maybe Gasly has probably 2 because he won in.
Gasly's had 1, I think.
1.
He won in Monza. I think Gasly's got more podiums. Got a podium in Brazil 2019. And did he get another podium in the last year?
He got Baku this year.
Baku, yeah, of course, yeah. Yeah,
he got Baku this year.
Yeah.
And then Monza as well. So that's 3 podiums.
3 podiums, yeah. Ocon's got the 2. He obviously won the Hungarian GP this year. And got, what was it, second in Bahrain, Sakhir, one of those.
Yeah.
When Perez
last year?
won in the Racing Point. Yeah, last year.
Yeah, last year. Yeah, I mean it's absolutely great. But well, that was the good bit. And Williams Williams first point since 2018. First point since a race
First
in
point
2009.
since 2019. Yeah, first double point since 2018. At Monza, I think it was in 18. We had Stroll and Sirotkin.
Oh yeah.
I can't remember who got points in 20. Oh, Kubica got 1 point in 2019. Can't remember which race either. It might have been Hungary actually. I can't remember. Yeah, George Russell once again outscored by his teammate because of bad luck. He had, I think, some sort of problem quite early on after the restart. I remember seeing him sort of pull out to the side for a little bit, whether it was engine trouble or something. I'm not too sure. Yeah, when I saw that, I just thought, oh no, Russell, you're in P2. Please don't have engine troubles and have to retire the car again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Luckily he didn't retire the car. We still got what? I was going to say 2 points, but Vettel's been disqualified, so it goes up to 4 points, I think now.
Yeah.
So Williams get 10 points instead of 6, which is brilliant.
That's brilliant.
I mean, for a team that has struggled for so long now, I mean, it seems like ages since Williams had a good car with Bottas and Massa as the drivers. That seems like, what, 5-6 years ago.
Yeah.
So for them to just get points and double points, both drivers getting their first points for Williams. Obviously, Latifi's first in Formula One. Russell got points for Mercedes in Sakhir. But yeah, I mean, it's just brilliant. I mean, as I said, for a team that has struggled so much, I saw on their Facebook or something today that they've put like a banner out outside their factory in Wantage, with just like sort of thank you, and then the drivers and the points and the race times and the positions, and it's just like, yes, that's how much they're celebrating. They want to show off. Yes, it's only 10 points, but
yeah,
it means so much to the team and the driver. I mean, George Russell was in tears that he got his first points for Williams at the end of the race. That's just how much it means to the drivers, the team, everyone back in Wantage, everyone who's been a part of the team for however long.
So long, yeah.
Yeah, it means so much, and I'm very happy for Williams.
Yeah, me as well. Just quickly on Russell, just a quick one. Russell to Mercedes, is it going to happen? Maybe. Will he get that seat? Will he get that
I hope
seat?
So. He deserves it. I saw something again. I think this was the Formula One social media admin sort of playing with us a little bit, because the first few words of the post was like, George Russell will drive for Mercedes in 2022. And they're just like, and then the next two words are like, in Hungary tyre test or something, and then just like, oh, so he's not actually signed for Mercedes, he's just testing tyres out for Mercedes. Way to get our hopes up. Yeah, I mean, hopefully Russell gets the Mercedes seat, because I think Bottas has shown this weekend that, I mean, he's from Finland. For crying out loud. He knows how to drive on loose surfaces, on snow, ice, rain, and yeah, it's difficult and different in an F1 car. But for someone, he's a skillful driver, Bottas. I'm not knocking him for that. I think he's still got a good career in F1. Maybe not with Mercedes, but maybe with one of the midfield teams. I think he's still a pretty good driver. But in terms of Russell, I don't think he's at Russell's level, and that just shows how much people rate George Russell being in a Williams for 3 years. I mean, we saw what Russell did to Bottas in Sakhir. That sort of overtake in the sort of squealy section, turns 4-5, out qualifying Bottas as well. I think he out qualified him, and he would have won the race if it weren't for the tyre mishap that Mercedes had. So I would love for George Russell to go to Mercedes for next year. Whether it will happen, I'm not too sure. I think it depends what happens to the championship, because I think if Verstappen wins the championship, then I think they'll keep Bottas for another year just to try and get Lewis that 8th title. But if Hamilton wins the the championship, then that could be the end for Bottas. That's the way I see things anyway.
Yeah, and the highs and lows of Formula One racing, but when you get disqualified on a podium due to fuel insufficiency, then, well, you don't want to be Sebastian Vettel, do you?
Yeah, that's just annoying because, I mean, what a drive to get to P2. He almost overtook Ocon at one point.
Yeah.
When I think they were trying to overtake an Alfa Romeo or lap an Alfa Romeo, and then Vettel thought, well, I could go down the inside here, and then Ocon, luckily for him, just sort of shut the door a little bit. What a drive from Vettel to get P2. Would have been his second podium for Aston Martin, second podium of the year after Baku.
I've been very impressed with Vettel this season.
Yeah, so he had a poor start. Maybe that's just getting used to the car sort of things, but he's a quality driver, and a quality human being as well. With he's just dressed in rainbows at Hungary because of their sort of anti-LGBTQ stance. So him and Lewis, for a matter of fact, to not necessarily protest like that, but to say that it's fine. There's nothing wrong with being LGBTQ. It's perfectly acceptable. It's normal. I think Germany were going to do a similar thing in the Euros as well, sort of light up the Munich stadium in rainbows for when Hungary came, because their government's sort of anti-LGBTQ. So for them to do that is superb. I think Vettel. I think the FIA weren't too happy with it. I think Vettel said, "Well, if they want to disqualify me, then disqualify me. I'd happily do it again." And fair play to him, because I mean, you got to stand up for what's right.
Of course.
I think the fact that the FIA sort of weren't too happy with Vettel and also weren't happy with Lewis when he wore a Breonna Taylor shirt last year.
Yeah,
it's sort of they say we race as one, but if they do stuff like that, then it's just a complete facade. It's just wrong for them to say that and then not actively support it. Then they go and race in Saudi Arabia. But yeah, I've got a bit off topic anyway. Sorry.
No.
Anyway, back to Vettel's race.
So Sebastian Vettel
disqualification.
So Sebastian Vettel has a great race. He caps it off with a P2 finish behind Esteban Ocon. Then the stewards suddenly disqualify him due to insufficient fuel in the car, meaning so every car has to, after the race, has to have at least 1 litre of fuel, whether it's to get back to the garages, park firmly, I don't know. I think me and you were discussing it last night as well. Do you understand why?
I think it's just so the stewards can check that the fuel is legal within the regulations. So they have to provide a litre of fuel as a sample, which seems quite a lot, to be fair, because I mean a litre is like it's 2 bottles of water essentially.
Yeah.
It seems quite a lot of fuel just for testing. And I think I've seen things say Vettel, he had 0.8 litres, 0.7 litres of fuel left, which, I mean, 200, 300 mil is, I mean, it's a decent amount, I think, 200, 300 mil. Why the stewards couldn't just test, I'd say, even half a litre of fuel, 500 mil? Because what are they going to find in the other 500 mil, excuse me, of that litre? That they wouldn't find in, say, the other half litre. I just don't understand why they need to take so much fuel from the cars just for testing, just to make sure it's legal. It seems a bit strange, but rules are rules. They are there to make sure that the drivers and the teams don't cheat. But it is unfortunate that it happened to a good driver who got his second podium this year. Means Hamilton gets bumped up 1 place into second. It means Carlos Sainz gets into third, his second podium of the year. I think the second podium he's had where he's not actually been on the podium, because he had one in Brazil 2019, I think, where Hamilton got the penalty for taking out Albon. And he's obviously got one at the weekend as well. So I think he's got 3 or 4 podiums, but 2 of them where he's not actually been on the podium.
Yeah.
which is
That that
which is
liter
strange, but
yeah, that liters thing with the car, it almost it reminds me of the F1 game when when you're trying to figure out
mm,
how much fuel you want to put in the car, and it always has that 0.5 of a
yeah.
liter. So I just thought, yeah, bring that up. Um, well, anything else you want to? Well, the calendar that we discussed.
Um, I want to talk about the Hamilton Alonso battle,
Oh yeah,
just because I mean, it was
that was
Alonso's
interesting.
birthday. What, Friday, Saturday?
Yeah,
But I think Alonso might have thought it was Ocon's birthday. The way he was driving to defend from Hamilton just to give Ocon some help. I mean, what that is just great team spirit from Alonso. I mean, he's 40 years old and still battling out with Hamilton like it's 2007, 2008 again. It was just a quality battle for a good few laps as well. Because I think Hamilton tried to overtake Alonso twice at turn 4, sort of the fast left-hander, where he overtook Tsunoda earlier on in the race. And then Alonso wasn't having anything of it, just parked the car on
yeah,
the apex of the corner, forced Hamilton a little bit wider, and did that a couple times, just making his car as wide as he could, just sort of not necessarily weaving about, because that's dangerous. He'd probably be disqualified for it, but it just quality defensive driving from Alonso, just to hold Hamilton up, give Ocon a little bit of breathing space from Vettel, from Hamilton.
yeah.
I mean,
I
Ocon
think I
owes
saw a
him.
picture. I think I saw a picture yesterday of the Alpine car being so wide and
Yeah.
trying to defend Ocon. I was like,
It's
wow.
like, yeah, it looks about
I think
right.
I think Hamilton also said on his radio, "What is Alonso doing?" when he was trying to get past the Spaniard. And I think I saw on Twitter someone put a comment, it's called defending. It's called
Yeah.
defending, mate. Just trying to defend Ocon. And the post celebrations after, just waiting for Ocon, giving him a big hug. I mean, what a great teammate Alonso
Yeah,
is.
absolutely, 100%. I mean, it just proves he's still got it, doesn't he? I mean,
Yeah,
he's been in F1 for what, 20 years now, or something like that. It's a
that's a
ridiculous amount
long
of time.
time.
Because he's 40 years old now. I think he debuted in 2001 for Minardi. I think, don't quote me on that. To show he's still got it after a few years out of racing. He's yeah, quality driver, quality teammate as well. To do something like that for a guy to get his first win is just, yeah, incredible sportsmanship, teamwork. And I mean, Hamilton did eventually get past when Alonso locked up into turn 1 with a few laps to go, but I think that was inevitable. At some point, Hamilton would have got past, because I mean, you've got a Mercedes up against an Alpine, and yeah, the Alpine is a decent car, but the Mercedes is just so much quicker.
Yeah,
I mean, for Hamilton to get through all of the pack from, well, I say starting first on the restart, then pitting, dropping back into 13th, or last at that point really, for him to get back up into third and then second because of Vettel's disqualifications. Just A, it shows how good a driver Hamilton is, and B, also shows how good the Mercedes car is. Because another thing I heard, that Hamilton didn't have a drink. I'm not too sure if that's true or not, because a lot of
a
people were
drink.
saying, well, yeah, because they all have drinks in the cars because it's
Oh yeah.
hot on there. It's essentially a workout for 2 hours that they're doing. Yeah, a lot of people saying Hamilton doesn't look okay on the podium, looks a bit tired.
Oh
So
yeah.
whether he was a bit dehydrated, I don't know. But yeah, since that, he's come out and said he's all okay, just ready for the summer break, which I don't blame him. But yeah, I think just shows how good those two drivers still are. They're two of the oldest drivers on the grid, Alonso
Yeah.
and Hamilton. After being teammates in 2007, they're back at it again, battling each other again, 14 years later. It's just
Yeah.
brilliant driving from both of them.
Yeah. And just one statistic. I think you mentioned it, but I'll just mention it again. Pierre Gasly and Esteban Ocon are the only French drivers to get a win or a podium in the 21st century.
I don't think a podium. I think Grosjean might have got a podium for Lotus, but yeah, Gasly and Ocon, the only two French Formula One drivers to win a race in the 21st century. Before there was Olivier Panis in 1996 in Monaco for Ligier, which back then was a midfield team. So another crazy, I think only 3 drivers finished that race in the end in 96. Obviously Ocon's first win, Gasly and Ocon, only French drivers to win in the 21. You've got 2 French drivers winning in 2 years. Again, another thing I saw was that France has got the most Grand Prix winners in the last 10 years or something. Well, it's only 2.
Really?
Yeah, you've only got Gasly on because if you think about it, then you've got Lewis Hamilton, the only British driver to win the Grand Prix in the last 10 years. I don't think Button has won recently. Last win must have been in 2011 or 2012. Obviously, Norris hasn't won. Russell hasn't won. Can't remember if any other British driver. Paul de Resta. I don't. He's not won a race. Germany, you've got. Actually, no, I'm not too sure. But surely you've got Vettel and Rosberg.
Rosberg.
It might not have been in the last 10 years. I can't remember now. Whoever wrote that stat, you're wrong, because I've just thought about it and then worked it out. So it might have been the last 5 years since Rosberg retired or something. I can't remember. But certainly not in the last 10 years.
Yeah. So 4-week break. 4-week break, and then we are off. And then we are off to Spa at the end of August. Well, do you think there will be any driver moves between for next season? Who do you think might be moving?
That's a good. I don't know who's out of contract besides like Bottas. Whether Russell will move to Mercedes, I don't know if Mercedes will announce that in the summer break. I think they might wait till the end of the season if they announce Russell to Mercedes. I'm not too sure. I'm just having to think of
Pierre Gasly
of the grid, because I don't see him going anywhere though. I think he's in contract with AlphaTauri. I don't see Perez going anywhere, not for another year or 2. And that second Red Bull seat. Tsunoda, whether he's impressed enough in his first year to get another year, because ever since that first
I'm
race
not
Bahrain,
convinced by Tsunoda.
I'm not massively convinced. No, I think he got a points finish in Hungary. Can't remember how many points now. I think he got another points finish a few weeks ago. Again, I can't remember which race. But I mean, he's in his first year. I think AlphaTauri will cut in some slack and give him another year or 2. They just need to sort out his attitude really with the team, because for a rookie to just hammer his team, keep swearing at his team, I don't think is right. Because yes, he's obviously emotional and passionate about racing in Formula One, but to keep just swearing at your team, the guys who are trying to help you out as best they can, say, oh, this car's rubbish, or this is so and so, is something's not right there for me. So I think he'll have a talking to and then say, just look, calm it down, we're doing our best, we know something might not be right, but just give it your best, and then we'll see where you're at the end of the season. Just having a look elsewhere on the grid, I don't see many people really going anywhere, because there were a lot of driver moves last year. We had Sainz to Ferrari, Ricciardo to McLaren.
I think Carlos Sainz is on a contract until 2023 or 24. He's not necessarily a long-term Ferrari driver, because obviously Mick Schumacher is.
They'll want to get Mick in that Ferrari.
They want to get him to Ferrari.
Yeah. I think both fast drivers will stay. Whether Raikkonen perhaps could
make way for Bottas.
Potentially, I have seen rumours of that. Bottas to Alfa Romeo. I'm not too sure about that. I don't see where the link is there between sort of a Mercedes car and essentially a Ferrari junior team. I don't see. I don't see the link there whatsoever. Whether that will happen, and then Russell to Mercedes, and then someone like Nick De Vries perhaps comes into Williams, or Roy Nissany.
What do you think? What do you think about that, Nick De Vries to Williams? Because I saw that on social media, and people were saying, "Oh, he's a bit old. He's 25." You
At
know,
25, he's really old at 25. When he got Hamilton racing around at 38, Alonso at 40, Raikkonen at what, 41, 42. Yeah, 25 is not old at all. I don't know if Nick de Vries will want to go to F1 because he's doing really well in Formula E at the moment. So for Mercedes as well, actually, alongside Stoffel van Dorn. So whether Mercedes will be like, "But you're doing well in Formula E, have this season in Formula E, and then come to us, race for Williams in Formula One in 2022, new regulations will help Williams to get the car back up into the midfield where they once were. And then maybe in a few years down the line, maybe 2026, 27, you can be racing for us in a Mercedes." Whether that's the case, I mean, that's big speculation from me there.
yeah.
But whether that'll happen, I don't know. I think de Vries is happy in Formula E, to be honest. I think quite a few of the drivers are.
Yeah.
So I don't know whether they'll want to go from a race-winning car in Formula E in the Mercedes into bottom of the field in a Williams. It's whether you see F1 as the pinnacle of motorsport, whether you want to race in Formula One, or do you want to keep winning in Formula E, maybe win a few championships in Formula E. It will probably be down to de Vries. I think it'll be good to see him in F1 because I think he's a quality driver. Actually, with those Mercedes, I think he won the F2 championship a few years back. I think he might have been linked with McLaren, or some of or one of the Mercedes teams. Yeah, if Russell does go to Williams, then did they bring back Jack Aitken, who raced for them last year at Sakir for one race? Did they bring in Roy Nissany, who's their test driver? Did they bring in Nick de Vries? There's a lot of questions. If Bottas does move down the field and Russell goes to Mercedes, then who is going to replace the spare seat at Mercedes? Not Mercedes, Williams.
Yeah.
I think there's a few drivers that can fit the bill. Obviously, one being Bottas, having raced for the team before, but then you've got loads of junior drivers like Aitken, Nissany, de Vries. Whether any of those will take it, I don't know. Whether Raikkonen will drop out and whether they'll move Schumacher up to Alfa Romeo, bring in a new Haas driver. Whether they'll do that, I'm not too sure. Because then you essentially have Mazepin, who's raced 1 year in Formula One and is only there because of his money and is a rubbish driver, and then bring in another rookie into the team. I'm not too sure Haas will want to do that. So I don't know. To be honest, the only driver I can see moving really is Raikkonen, whether he'll retire, or if he'll just keep doing it as long as he wants. Because he said it's like a hobby to him. He just enjoys it, which is brilliant for a guy who's been racing in the sport for 20 plus years, to still enjoying it and still get that thrill of racing side by side is brilliant. And obviously Raikkonen's a class driver, but whether his time's up in Formula One, I'm not too sure. But it could make way for Schumacher or another junior Ferrari driver like Callum Ilott, perhaps.
Oh yeah.
To come to either Haas or Alfa Romeo. That's the only real move I could see happening at the end of the year. Maybe Raikkonen out, or dare I say Russell to Mercedes and then Bottas to Williams and so on.
Yeah. I mean, after when that 4-week break comes to an end, drivers refreshed, we go again in Spa, the second half of the championship.
Love Spa.
What a track! I love that track. And speaking of tracks, before we finish off, leads us to creating our F1 calendar.
Yeah.
Now, creating the F1 calendar is not easy. I'm sure F1 have difficulties in selecting which track to go to, but it's not easy. And I actually did this yesterday.
So did I.
So it wasn't easy. Taking out tracks that I didn't like. Spoiler. I've taken out a lot of Asian tracks.
So have I actually. Yeah, I found that as well. So I don't think any of them are. I was thinking, do I have China?
I mean,
do
I think
have
I've
Korea? Do I have India? Do I have Malaysia? I could, if I could slot in one of them, it would be Malaysia. But I've got 20 tracks. So whether I somehow sneak Malaysia in there, I could do, I suppose. Let's do that now. I'll sneak Malaysia in.
Where's you're in for a treat.
21 races sorted. I completely forgot about. I completely forgot about Malaysia until just now.
21 rows. Oh, yeah. Right. Do you want to go first, or should I go first?
No, you go first. You go first.
All right then. So I haven't gone for the traditional. It's completely my own. So round 1, we go to Montreal for the Canadian Grand Prix.
Like Montreal.
Whether you class it as a classic track, I don't know. This was one of the ones that I was talking about. It was off the calendar last year because of COVID. What better place to start than where Lewis Hamilton won his first F1 Grand Prix championship, 2008. Round 2, the Malaysian Grand Prix.
I don't know how I forgot about Malaysia. It's been such a good track as well.
Yeah.
Genuinely don't know how I forgot it.
I think Daniel Ricciardo made his debut in Malaysia, 2011. Was it? Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, for HRT.
2011. Yeah. Round 3, we go to Portugal, Portimao. One of those get it out of the way tracks. Round 4, yeah, I know. Round 4, Austrian GP, Spielberg. I've got two races where we have racing at the same place in the same country. Round 5, British Grand Prix at Brands Hatch. I've never been there before, but I'm sure it's a nice place to race at. Round 6, this one it was a no-brainer for me. Baku, Azerbaijan. I loved it this season. 7, Spanish Grand Prix in Barcelona. Round 8 was I struggled for round 8 because I wasn't sure where to go. French Grand Prix in Le Castellet. Then
Paul Ricard.
Paul Ricard. Italian Grand Prix in Monza takes round 9. So the tempo of speed. When I was doing this, I thought all the ones that I want to. I was more interested in the second half of my F1 calendar than the first, because almost all my exciting ones were towards the end of the season. So that's round 9. Round 10, it's Hungary, Budapest. We've just had that last weekend. Then we are back in the UK again for Silverstone, round 11. Round 12, we head to Spa in Belgium. Round 13, Dutch Grand Prix, Zandvoort. It will be great to see what happens up there in Zandvoort this season. Max Verstappen's home Grand Prix.
I'm looking forward to it. Imagine just the waves of orange. I think I spoke about this last week as well. Just a sea of orange in the stands.
Yeah.
And the track itself I'm looking forward to as well. Because I've got some cars racing at Zandvoort.
Not Lando Norris, but
yeah.
There was no way I couldn't have a 20 race calendar without this track. I almost forgot it. Round 14, we go to Istanbul in Turkey.
Yeah, I nearly forgot Turkey as well. That was another one that hello, could fit that in.
So the last 5 was just I had to ensure myself that I had to get this 5 in. I love night tracks. But also round 15. Round 15 isn't a night track, but Suzuka, Japanese Grand Prix.
Yeah,
I love that. I love that track. Round 16, we head to Mexico City. 17, Brazilian Grand Prix Interlagos. Then, why not start a night race and then finish with a night race. Round 18, we go to Singapore. Singapore Grand Prix, love night tracks. 19, United States Grand Prix. As I said, I wasn't sure whether to go with COTA or the new Miami track. So instead, I went with COTA, Austin, Texas, because, you know, F1 has raced there. And then season finale, I mean, you know what season finale is.
Abu Dhabi. Oh, you're frozen again. Or is it me? Because I can't hear anything. Oh.
Round 20 of my calendar is the season finale. We have Abu Dhabi at the Yas Marina circuit. And yeah, those are my 20 tracks for my F1 calendar.
Yeah, I might need to change mine again because I completely forgot Singapore as a track, and I do like Singapore. So, am I having 22 tracks, or do I just keep it 21? Or do I find any on? I don't know, because I like all of these really. To be honest, which is obviously why I picked them. But I forgot Malaysia and I forgot Singapore. So, well, let's keep it as it is. 21 races. That's long enough. So round one for me. Bahrain, sort of a not necessarily traditional start of the year, but when it first began hosting Grand Prix, it was the season starter, and I think it was a good race this year. I didn't see anywhere else on my calendar to have like, as in that's where I want to start my season. That's like a traditional season opener, if you like. So I've gone Bahrain round one. Round two, for the first time in quite a few years, we're going over to Africa for Kialmi. In South Africa. Not a track that I've seen much of, but I just think it's, if you're not ready, just basically skipping an entire continent out of a world championship. So I think there's got to be a race in Africa, and I don't see any other circuit really in Africa that can do it like Kialmi. I don't know of any other F1 race circuits in Africa besides Kialmi. That's round two. Round three, I'm going to head over to Japan for Suzuka. Brilliant track. I love Suzuka. Round four, off the back of earlier, I've stuck Malaysia in at round four, just to keep it sort of in Asia for a little bit. Go from Japan to Malaysia. Yeah, another brilliant track. I don't know how I forgot it, because we haven't raced there for the last few years. So round five, we go to Turkey at Istanbul Park. Another one I nearly missed out, but I think the last race, well, last year, a bit of a wet race, just chaotic really. I mean, you had Lance Stroll on pole at one point. I think just it's just a brilliant track, Turkey, I think. Round six, we go to Baku. Another one where I was like, do I keep it? Do I get rid of it? But I think Baku's just provided some great entertainment, if anything, over the last few years. Round seven, go to Imola, a track that I absolutely love. I do love Imola. It's produced all right races the last couple of years, but I just love Imola as a track. I mean, it's one of the fastest on the calendar, one of the fastest in F1. So I think it's got to stay. Round, what are we now? 8, I think. We go to Portimao. Decent track. Racing hasn't been brilliant the last year or two. I think the first year it was back in 2020. It was all right. I think give it some slack, cut it some leeway, and I think there could be some good racing. Round 9, we go to Spain, but not to Barcelona. We go to Jerez. Just because I don't think the Barcelona track is that good. I don't think it provides good racing. So I thought, where else in Spain have they raced that we could race? I could have gone Valencia, but I don't think that was particularly amazing from memory. So I've gone to Jerez. Track that I've only seen a couple of times, but I was just thinking, where else in Spain can we race? Because I think I want F1 to go to Spain, but I don't think Barcelona is the right track. So Jerez for me. Then we go to Austria for round 10. Spielberg, Red Bull Ring, Österreichring. Again, a nice little track, I think. These three races are sort of usual back-to-back sort of races that they are on the F1 calendar anyway. So we go Austria, British Grand Prix at Silverstone. You can't miss out Silverstone at all. yeah, round 11, Hungaroring, again, sort of traditional end for the first half of the season. That's Hungaroring. I'll put a summer break in there because why not have a summer break? And then again, like this year's F1 Canada, we're going to go to Spa after the summer break for round 12. Again, these three are all pretty much the same as the current F1 calendar. Zandvoort after Spa for round 13. Oh yeah, Zandvoort again, new track to the calendar. Looking forward to see what happens there. Round 14, we've gone to Monza. So we're having 2 races in Italy, one at Imola, one at Monza. You can't leave out Monza. Temple of Speed, as you say, is brilliant track. Around 15? I keep losing count. I don't have numbers next to them. We go to France, but not Paul Ricard. We go to Magny-Cours. I think Magny-Cours is a better track than Paul Ricard. Although it was a good race this year, it was pretty dull in 2020. I think Magny-Cours provides better racing. Round 16, Nürburgring in Germany. I was thinking, or do I go Hockenheim? Do I go Nürburgring? But personally, as a track, I just prefer the Nürburgring. And then the last 4 races, so round 17, 18? I can't remember now. We go to Canada, Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, Montreal. Again, another track that I do quite like. It's quite fast. Also got sort of mixtures of a normal race circuit and a bit of a street circuit as well. Next, I've lost count now. I'm just going to go next round.
So you've done 17 so far.
17, okay. Round 18, Circuit of the Americas, COTA. Another track that I do kind of like. It's nicked bits of other tracks. So we've got like the Maggots and Beckett's of Silverstone at COTA as well, which I kind of like, but I think get your own ideas. Stop nicking other people's tracks. I'll go to round 19, I think it is. Mexico City, Autódromo Hermanos Rodriguez, Mexico City, another track that I again quite like. And then the season finale, round 20, 21, whatever it is. What I think should be the end of the season race, the finale of the season, Interlagos, Brazil, Autódromo Jose Carlos Pache. Brazil, I just love Brazil as a track. You've got variable weather. If it's a wet race, it's good. If it's a dry race, it's good. Brazil, one of my favourite tracks on the calendar. So you've got Bahrain, Kialmi, Suzuka, Malaysia, Istanbul Park, Baku Street Circuit, Imola, Portimao, Jerez, Spielberg, Silverstone, Hungaroring, Spa, Zandvoort, Monza, Magny-Cours, Nürburgring, Montreal, COTA, Mexico City, and Interlagos. That's my 2021 race calendar.
Well, some great tracks in that calendar there, Wes. Yeah, I think I do fancy a few going there as well.
I did want to sneak Singapore in there, but I thought I've got enough. If I would sneak Singapore in there, it will probably be after Malaysia, before Turkey, sort of in round 4 or 5.
You left out Singapore?
I know. I forgot. I forgot about Malaysia. I forgot about Singapore. I don't know how I forgot about.
Did you add in Singapore? I mean, sorry, did you add in Malaysia?
Yeah, I added in Malaysia. Malaysia between Suzuka and Turkey. So if I were to add Singapore, it'll probably come before Turkey, after Malaysia.
Okay.
Just have another night race on the calendar.
Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, that has been episode 19 of the AfterBurners podcast. I do apologise for our technical difficulties today. Apologies for that. But yeah, we've come to the end of the AfterBurners podcast, episode 11. Sorry, episode 11?
19.
Episode 19. Forgive me, episode 19. And we are off for the summer break in F1. Yeah. Well, F1 are off for the summer break. And we will be back again racing at the end of August when we head to Belgium. So it's a goodbye from me, your host, Sam Oney. It's a goodbye from Wes.
Bye-bye.
And have a lovely, lovely summer break. And F1 will be back at the end of August. Bye-bye.